Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're unpacking something that is, honestly, a total game changer. We're diving into Marshall Rosenberg's seminal work on nonviolent communication. Now, if you hear that and think, oh great, a polite customer service script on how to be relentlessly nice, actually, scratch that. What we're exploring today is a profound paradigm shift in how we listen, how we speak, and ultimately, how we connect with others and ourselves. Rosenberg's core idea is that human beings are naturally compassionate, but we've been culturally conditioned to use language that essentially blocks that compassion. We're going to completely rewire how you approach every single conversation in your life.
To make sense of this massive framework, here's our roadmap. First, we'll examine the communication trap. Then, we'll walk through the 4 steps of NVC. After that, we'll dig into the root of our feelings, uncover the true meaning of empathy, and finally, decode the hidden purpose of anger. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. The Communication Trap and Why Conversations Fail. Let's start by looking at the foundation of the problem. Why does our default, culturally conditioned way of speaking actually sabotage our relationships?
Have you ever wondered why conversations, even with people we love absolutely dearly, so often end in fights, defensiveness, or just this lingering sense of disconnection? Well, it's not because we're inherently combative people. It's because the language we use every single day contains this hidden, subtle violence. We are practically trained in a language that practically guarantees misunderstandings.
Rosenberg calls this alienating communication, and it stems from 3 main culprits. First up, we have moralistic judgments. This is when we put people into boxes, right or wrong, good or bad, normal or abnormal. It instantly puts the other person on trial. Second are comparisons. This one's fascinating. Rosenberg argues that comparing yourself to others is actually a form of violence against yourself because it completely blocks self-compassion. And third, the denial of responsibility. Think of phrases like, I had to do it, or the rules made me do it. When we speak like this, we're literally throwing away our own power of choice.
All right, Section 2, the 4 steps of NVC, a sequential structure. If alienating communication is the trap, nonviolent communication is our key to getting out.
The absolute beauty of this framework lies in its simplicity. You can use these exact 4 steps both to express yourself with total honesty and to listen to someone else with deep empathy. Step 1 is observation. Step 2 is identifying feelings. Step 3 is unearthing needs. And step 4 is making a request. It sounds super easy, right? But as we're about to see, actually executing this requires unlearning almost everything we know about talking. Let's break down step 1.
There is a massive difference between an evaluation and a true observation, and the error we all make is constantly mixing them up. When you say, you are incredibly lazy and messy, that is an evaluation. The moment the other person hears that, boom, a wall goes up. They feel judged, and they prepare for battle. NVC asks us to act like a video camera, recording an indisputable fact. I noticed you left your clothes on the bedroom floor for the past 3 days. You can't argue with a video camera. A pure observation just doesn't trigger that immediate defense mechanism.
Step 2 involves feelings, and unfortunately, our culture has given us a really poor vocabulary for this. Consider a phrase like, I feel like you don't care about me. We say things exactly like this all the time, right? But spoiler alert, that is not a feeling. That is a disguised accusation. It's just an interpretation of the other person's behavior. A real feeling looks inward. It sounds like, I feel sad and lonely, or I feel frustrated. So I challenge you today, how often do you use the word feel followed by a disguised judgment of someone else? This brings us to Section 3, the root of our feelings and the source of our reactions. This is arguably the most revolutionary part of this entire framework.
Here is the crucial realization. Others are never the cause of our feelings, only the stimulus. Let that sink in for a second. Someone else's actions might trigger you, sure, but your feeling is actually born from your own universal human needs. Needs like respect, safety, connection, or autonomy. Whether those needs are being met or ignored is what actually determines how you feel.
Let's look at a common domestic example to make this super concrete. The error is saying, I'm annoyed because you are late. That blames the other person entirely for your emotional state. The NVC approach completely flips the script. I'm annoyed when you arrive late because I need predictability and respect for my time. Do you see the difference there? By taking responsibility for your own underlying needs, you instantly free the other person from the heavy burden of blame. Now, this doesn't let them off the hook for being late, but it shifts the dynamic from a courtroom trial to a collaborative problem-solving session.
Which leads us directly to step 4, the request. Once you've observed the fact,
felt the emotion, and identified the need, you have to actually ask for what would enrich your life. But vaguely stating, "I want you to respect me more," or "stop ignoring me," are just terrible requests. They're vague and they're negative. An actionable NVC request has to be specific, doable, and framed in positive language. "Would you talk with me for 15 minutes today without looking at our phones?" That is crystal clear. The other person knows exactly what success looks like.
Moving to Section 4, the meaning of empathy and the art of deep listening. We've covered how to express ourselves, but communication is a two-way street. Let's dive deep into what empathy actually means in this framework.
Basically, everything we've been taught about being a good listener is often completely backward. When someone comes to us with a problem, our instinct is to give advice, try to fix it, or make it about us by saying, "Oh man, I know exactly how you feel. That happened to me too." But as Rosenberg points out, true empathy requires emptying the mind. It is resisting the urge to fix and instead listening with your whole being. It's about actively guessing and validating the feelings and needs of the other person.
And true empathy doesn't stop when things get heated. Remember this incredibly powerful concept. All aggression is a tragic expression of an unmet need. Even when someone is expressing themselves poorly, even through yelling or insulting you, true empathy involves listening past that abrasive delivery to guess the unmet need crying out underneath. They are simply using a tragic, highly ineffective strategy to get a deeply human need met.
Now you might be thinking, does this mean I just have to be a Zen master while people yell at me? Absolutely not. Welcome to Section 5, the purpose of anger as a valuable alarm.
Rosenberg does not preach suppressing our anger. Instead, consider this brilliant metaphor. Anger is a highly valuable car alarm. It's not inherently bad. It's a loud, unignorable siren telling you that you have a crucial need that is being starved. When you feel anger, the goal isn't to direct it outward as a judgment against someone else. The goal is to let the alarm wake you up, stop judging the other person, and look inward to translate that anger into the unmet need beneath it.
As we bring all these pieces together, we reach the philosophical climax of this explainer. True connection only happens when the other has the genuine freedom to refuse. This is the ultimate test of whether you're actually practicing nonviolent communication. Remember the step about making a request? Well, the difference between a request and a demand is entirely defined by how you react if the person says no. If you punish a no with criticism, the silent treatment, or a guilt trip, you never made a request. You made a demand. The goal here isn't to manipulate people into doing what you want. It's to create an environment where the needs of both parties can be met naturally.
I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. Look at your own communication habits today. When you ask for things from your partner, your colleagues, or your friends, are you making requests or are you making demands disguised as requests? Nonviolent communication isn't just a quick fix. It's a profound spiritual and philosophical practice of deep listening. So take these 4 steps: observation, feeling, need, request, and start testing them in your own life. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.